I should just quit. I should just stop this. It's
For
hard to be
shoes.
friends with you. Honestly, it's a disgrace lah.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Time for Mental Health. Time for Mental Health is a podcast where we aim to normalize the sharing of mental health experiences. I'm your host Fabian. Join with me, we have Viaano, we have Talya, and we have a special guest, Dylan.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Before we move on to the show, this is our 20th episode, and we'd like to thank all our viewers, listeners, thank you guys for all your support. We started this year, and now we've come almost reaching to the end of this year. First, we have an introduction from Dylan himself about what he does and all that stuff.
Hi, my name is Dylan. I own my own tailoring business called 3 Buttons. Basically, what we do is that we're trying to make the tailoring experience in Singapore a little bit more accessible and fun, contrary to what it is normally in Singapore, in the traditional tailoring, as well as what's available out there in the ready-to-wear brands. And what we're trying to do really is to elevate the way guys dress in Singapore, and hopefully help girls have better looking boyfriends.
All right.
Nice.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I think
for
we need-
sure.
yeah.
When did your passion for like style and tailoring come?
Honestly, I think it dates back quite a bit. If the backstory, I think like when I was 5 years old, I actually asked my mum for a 3-piece suit, right? And my mum was
Right.
like, "You're just full of shit." But I think back then or there, I kind of liked the look of her suits, right? And fast forward, I actually studied diploma in hospitality and tourism, and I was in my year 2. And I was thinking, this is not something I want to do. It's like low pay, long hours. I'm like, I'm not here for this shit. So I was thinking like, what could I do? Right. And just nice, I actually went to UK during the winter period. And there guys were like decking up. They were like layering suits and overcoats. I was like, shit, this is cool, man. And I just thought to myself, hey, actually, if I learn how to be a tailor, it's a skill. And if a skill, I'll never be able to not make a living. Right. So everything fell very nicely. When I came back towards the start of the year, it was Chinese New Year, I told my big brother, hey, you know what, there's something I'm interested to pursue. And he's in the fashion industry, right? He's a photographer. So he said, do you know this guy who's my ex-boss? And he said, let me hook you up. So I kind of started there, and I think I really, really started falling in love with the industry, tailoring itself, and even the craft was when I kind of got exposed to the industry, the menswear industry, shoes, bespoke tailoring, and just seeing a lot more and understanding that there is such intricacy. And when you look at the tailors in overseas, right, UK, Italy, Korea, Japan, these are guys with huge passion for what they're doing, right? As compared to Singapore, it's very different. And I thought to myself, hey, you know what? This is something I could see myself doing for life, right? It's not a job that's like 8 to 5, which is something I could never do. And this is something that it's in line with kind of who I am as a person. So basically that's how I got into it.
I also know that you opened up your own store.
Yeah. So I left my previous company 2019 December, right, where it talks about COVID. But I was like, I mean, what's really good? How bad can it be? And honestly, it was just one of those things where you're just dumb and young and dumb. And I just thought, how difficult can it be to start a business, right? You open a shop, customers come in, you get some money, you just have a good life. But it was not the case. So I started in March 2020. So 3 days before circuit breaker was when I took my first order, and then it went to lockdown. So that was
my
a fun
goodness.
experience.
Since your business couldn't open, then what do you do to like circumvent, or what are strategies or some things?
To be very honest, I kind of just took a break from something that I haven't even started yet. And when even after circuit breaker kind of opened up, right, sales was bad, and I wasn't taking a pay for a long period of time, to the point where my savings ran out. I was dry, and in order to kind of like fix that, I started doing Grab food delivery. I cycle, so it's kind of just fun for me. I thought it was good exercise, and but that didn't last that long. And I was lucky that I had a friend who runs a toy store called the Toy Folks, and she offered me a job. So I was working there part-time, 1 day a week, just kind of earn some allowance to sustain the monthly costs like insurance, stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So you're actually continuing with the store still, lah. Like
Yes.
even though you took a break.
Yeah,
Right. Wow.
I know you mentioned just now that if it's a craft, like you will always make money. Has that always been like the kind of like mindset?
I think in general, I'm someone who's quite happy-go-lucky. I like to see the positive in things, and I kind of I've never been one to kind of just follow a traditional route. Yeah, in terms of craft, I think I've always admired guys who are craftsmen. If I wasn't a tailor, I would love to be a carpenter.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think it's such a cool and fun job, and just being able to create stuff in life. I think there is a lot more purpose in just finding a job, a well-paying job, right? If you may even say so, earning good money, having a family, building a house. But at the end of the day, there's not really anything that you're leaving behind, right? But having crafts, creating things with your hands, I think there is a lot more purpose in that, right? End of the day, you see, okay, this is something that I've created that's impacting someone's life, adding to someone's life, and even if I'll pass away, people will know, hey, if this, for example, if this guy is really amazing and famous, they would still talk about him. Hey, this guy created this. It's gonna stay on for life. But I mean, not dissing 8-5 guys, but I think for me,
Yeah. To each his own.
yeah, I think for me, there is a lot more than just finding 8-5 job. So I think having a skill and really believing that when you have a skill, you will not you'll be able to make a living. And I think that is really the case back in the days, right? When there's not so many white collar jobs, where blue collar were kind of like the backbone of society. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, I really relate to that. I mean, I did typical 9 to 8. 8 to 8
Oh,
job.
damn.
And sometimes until 1 a.m. job last time in the office. And then I couldn't. I really couldn't. I think some of us, when we have that creative drive, like we really need like something that we can put our heart and soul into it. And yeah, so I totally understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I interned at Fullerton Hotel as a marketing intern. And I tell you, it was the worst 6 years of my life. At the end of the internship, I think my friends, my colleagues, like my execs, like they were very glad that I didn't set the hotel on fire. That was how bad it was.
Wow.
So it's 6 months.
Yeah, it was 6 months internship.
6 months.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, half a year, man.
Like why? What do you think are the aspects of it that you?
I mean, I think it's what a lot of people are facing nowadays, but even more so apparent with COVID and all that, right? You have horrible bosses. The term manager no longer means manager, right? They're just there because of their skill set. They're not there because they can actually manage the people under them, right? And I think that was my first experience of what a good manager should be, right? I had some good ones, some bad ones. One that was super horrible, that if I see her in the street now, someone gotta hold me back. Yeah, so I honestly, like, at the point of like, I always tell people that like these 6 months of my life, I think honestly my soul was like broken. Yeah, I was like super angry every single day. There are definitely good managers, but I think a lot of managers, nowadays, especially younger ones, who do not understand what it means to manager, are causing a lot of suffering for the people under them. Yeah, I've heard so many stories from like my friends and even just my clients. It's crazy, man.
Why 3 buttons?
Okay.
Just not maybe off camera lah, but
Okay. As in you can, as in I'm happy to share also.
Yeah.
Go for it.
As in,
Yeah.
there's nothing like amazing about it lah. So I mean the story about 3 buttons is that back then when I first started the business, right, I used a meme of Donald Duck called Dolan Duck as a logo, right? I was thinking, do I want to start like a whole business and like design the logo? And I was like, I'm too lazy for that, right? So I used Dolan Duck, right? And the backstory for that is that when I was in like poly, I started using that as my gaming DP. And after a while, my friends were saying, hey, you're starting to look as stupid as the duck, right? And Dolan and Dylan is just 1 letter away. So my closer friends, they all call me Dolan, right? And it's kind of like my identity lah. And I quite like it, right? Even though the bio of Dolan Duck is psychopath, killer or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So then we reached a point where it's IP and all this kind of thing. So we can't use that logo anymore. So we did a whole rebranding and 3 buttons. The name itself came from actually me. So when I wear my shirt, I actually unbutton 3 buttons. right? Which all my female friends always complain that they can see my cleavage.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
And then the duck itself is a homage to the original Dolan duck. So the duck in and of itself, it's me.
Nice.
Yeah. In order to kind of unbutton 3 buttons on a shirt, you need some level of confidence, right? And with 3 buttons, we endeavor to hope that one day, you know, when guys wear our clothes, right? When guys walk out of the shop collecting our items, right? They will have the confidence to go out and just be the best version of themselves.
And unbutton 3 buttons.
Yeah. I mean, people say it's some bullshit lah, whatever. But I mean, that's it lah. Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yep.
Do you perhaps have any like mental health struggles, you know, maybe just relating to your business as a whole or tailoring experience?
Honestly, I think mental struggles is something that comes, whether you like it or not, with entrepreneurship, right? Obviously, if you're lucky, you have an amazing idea, you have fundings, then it's a list of the worries, right? Because everything is taken for. But for guys who are really just like bootstrapping it, they're working to meet ends meet every month. All right. The financial burden, the lack of security, it will break you down really quickly. Honestly, every single day, especially for the period where I wasn't taking a pay, every single day I would think to myself, I should just quit. I should just stop this. It's not going anywhere. It's pointless. I can't do it. Right. The feeling of not having enough to buy meals, not having enough to go out with friends, right? You lose quite a bit of your social life. And I think even just the reality of like you thinking that you are good enough, right, is actually false, because what you've been doing for however long is actually not coming to fruition. That in and of itself killed me many times. I was very lucky that throughout this whole journey, I had my girlfriend there to support me. I had like good friends, I had family, and the biggest factor that helped me got through was really my journey with God, being a Christian, right? Just having God to kind of just be my refuge. In this season, it was the game changer. If you really want to start being an entrepreneur, you need to have friends who are there to support you, right? Who really believe in you. And I was lucky I have that. I didn't have friends or families who say like, you can't do it lah. Tailoring I won't make money lah. I was very lucky that I really had zero of that. And I think that if I had any of that, they would not be my friends anymore. So yeah.
Nice. Wow. Thanks for sharing. I was going to ask like coping. Are there any ways that you cope? Maybe if it's even prayer or like journaling or like exercise.
I would say worship has been my greatest source of strength. I mean, okay, I'm very lucky that as a person, I'm quite strong in this area. I'm not like, I mean, there are days where like, shit, this sucks. Let me just sleep in for like a couple hours more and just, not think about it. Some days don't go work. I definitely have those moments, but I think in general, for me, it's just do it lah. Right? You just got to do it, right? Just some days you don't feel like doing, you just got to get up and do it and just go through lah. And I think for me, it was also the idea that, this is something that I know I want to do for the rest of my life. This is something I'm passionate about. There is no other backup plans that I have that would make my life purposeful enough to give this up for, no matter how difficult it is, right? Every single day, right, I'll think myself, I just get a full-time job, get paid 2-3K, I'll be way more comfortable. I can start planning for future, right? BTO, wedding, whatever. But I think really understanding the purpose in my life and what I want to do for the rest of my life, that helped me stand my ground in where I want to be, stand my ground in continuing this business, no matter how bad the money is, right? How uncertain the foreseeable future is.
Like you have this like end goal in mind, so everything you do is like not for nothing lah.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely having the end goal helped a lot, right? And for me, the end goal is really to just be and to revolutionize the way men shop in Singapore, right? I think if being able to achieve that, right, I'm good, man. Yeah.
Nice.
Solid.
That's good. Okay, but anyways, okay, quick question. Circling back to, menswear, fashion, especially in Singapore. What are your thoughts with the guys?
We like to know. We like to know.
Yeah, we like to know your honest thoughts. How's it going, man?
Honest.
Yeah.
To the bottom of your
I
heart.
think honestly, it's a disgrace lah.
This is the best that I've won.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's I don't blame. Honestly, I don't blame the guys in Singapore, right? As much as they have a part to play, but I think I blame it on the previous generation.
Not the weather. Not the weather.
I mean, honestly, weather it's a convenient excuse.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If you think about it, people say wearing a suit is hot. If you're working an 8 to 5 job, how often are you out in the sun? In your freaking cold office, like 8 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Only time is go and buy lunch on the way home. Just don't wear a suit and then go and buy lunch lah. Who you trying to impress? Right? But I think I blame honestly brands.
Yeah.
Right? And the way they portray men and the kind of photos they take. Right? I think it's very similar to like even for ladies. Right? You look at like say, okay, I don't want to name brands, but you have brands having like skinny models wearing slim fit. Right, and that looks good, right? But you gotta understand that these models are skinny, right? And therefore the slim fit looks good. But the misconception, and for guys who don't know much, right? They think that, oh, if I'm skinny, I'm fat, I'm big, I don't want to hide. I want to hide anything. I can go as skinny as possible, right? Because skinny is the way to look skinny, but that is actually not the case, right? And I think there's a lot of misconception on how guys should be dressing, right? And also I think the culture of like us chasing brands, paying $700 for like a luxury brand t-shirt.
Yeah.
For me, I think that is like, if you do that, it's
Or
hard to be
shoes.
friends with you because you just can't. I don't want to be harsh. I don't want to be harsh, but you need some help.
I know. I think I totally get what you mean. I think I was in Australia the past 3 years, right? 3-4 years, and before I went to Australia, there's this culture that I've noticed in Singapore. Like you said, they go for those luxurious brands, those $700 t-shirts, all this kind of stuff, like what you mentioned. But when I was living in Australia, I mean, like I won't say to the extent that it's a disgrace here, but it's pretty bad. I was in Australia. I mean, the guys as well as the girls there, they're decked out in it doesn't matter what season it is. They actually put a lot of thought into their outfit and how they look, how they portray themselves, as a person, whether be it a job or they're going to school, whatever it is. They actually had some thought. I think when I came back here, when I took public transport for the first time, I felt like everyone looked the same to me. In terms of fashion,
Everyone looks like they go Uniqlo shop.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but honestly, I think the biggest blame I'll put will be on the culture in Singapore, as well as our previous generation, like I said. If you look at like European countries, right, or even other Southeast Asian countries like Japan or Korea, Hong Kong even, these are countries that they dress well, right? And why is that so? I think it's, for me, my personal belief is that you have parents who have lived through a life where dressing well is a mandatory, right? Knowing what to wear to what occasion. For example, wearing a suit to church, to weddings, to funerals, they have a standard. Right? But for Singapore, we don't have that. And of course, you talk about the lack of variety that Singapore brands are offering as compared to European countries, right? Japan, Korea are offering amazing suits at very amazing prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But Singapore, there's only these few options.
It's hard to find as well.
Right. And so I think it really comes down to us not having like a role model to follow after, right? Not having someone to teach us, okay, if you're starting work, this is what you need. This is what you need to get. This is how you should dress for work, day to day. And I think it's a lot of self-respect also, right? I think a lot of guys in Singapore just don't care, right? They either tap on their good looks. I'm good looking. That's enough for me. I don't need to dress amazingly well. And if you're sadly, not that blessed in that area, right? They just give up, right? Because they just think, I'm gonna do it like this. There's nothing I can do. But I think that's a lie, right? And I think also, there's a recent study that shows that, I don't know, but I can't remember by who, it affects the confidence level, how you portray yourself, your charisma, right? And I think that is really the case, right? If you dress like shit, you're gonna feel like shit, right? There's a reason why when guys wear suits, suddenly they feel like, I'm a millionaire, and stand walking around, or even though the suit is like, a bit questionable, but it's the same thing, right? And I think there needs to be a change in the way guys dress, right? Which would hopefully change the way they feel and act and being a little bit more confident in the things they do, being a little bit more confident with girls. I think some a bit too overconfident. But yeah, I mean I've heard enough complaints from my female friends saying, "Hey, why the guys in Singapore dress like shit? Can you please help my boyfriend?" I'm like, what do you want me to do, man? It doesn't need to be overly fancy, right? You don't need to spend $5,000 for like a super amazing Yoji Yamamoto piece, right? Or engineered garment piece, right? It can be as simple as just spending a little bit more than what you used to at, say, Uniqlo, Benjamin Barker, G2000, right? Or converting from your Massimo Dutti to just paying at the same price, but understanding what you're really paying into, right? Not just the brand, but the fabric, the fit, the advice that your tailors would, whatever tailors might give you, right? Of course, some not so good advice, but if you find a good tailor, right? Yeah.
They'll get the entire experience
Exactly.
from three
Yeah.
buttons.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Speaking of which, advice, right? Say for those people who do not really venture out, haven't started their like, style journey, haven't looked to, they're still trying to explore options,
Yep.
or maybe they haven't stepped out of the house in a while. Perhaps what are some tips that they can do? Like how should clothing fit, or what color should I get?
I think your first step is to follow 3buttons, SG on IG.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's go.
Go back to our basics. Simple things like your whites, your blues, your pinks for shirts. Trousers, go for basic colors, right? Your navy blue, olive green, brown. Go for darker colors. And honestly, with that, it's hard to go wrong. Yeah, and honestly, if I can even add a bit further, for me, the ideal wardrobe, when you're trying to start a new wardrobe, right? Go for 2 white shirts, 1 blue, 1 pink, 1 stripe, and then maybe get like some linens for the weekends, whatever. Of course, this is something that's very generalized for a 8 to 5 guy, right? And then for trousers, get a navy blue, a charcoal gray, maybe 1 more navy blue or charcoal gray, depending on what you prefer, right? One with a bit of patterns just for some fun, but subtle patterns. Don't go for those that's like window pane checks that you look like you're going for, Gatsby, right? Or whatever. And then a pair of jeans or a couple of chinos, right? And with this, honestly, we have 5 shirts and 5 pants. That's 25 variations that you can kind of play with. And with that, honestly, you're even wearing one, you have like you set up for the whole month. You will not wear the same outfit for the rest of the month. And once you have that, then you add on your interesting items that you probably wear once a week, once every 2 weeks, and slowly from there build on. You don't want to go straight into like getting something that may look amazing, but you can only wear it once every however long, right? You want to get something you can wear as and when for almost every occasion at the start, right? Have your staples, and then from there build it on. I think for guys, the pitfall, especially for Singaporeans, is that we want to get the most value out of what we're paying, what we're buying, right? You see, I've experienced a lot of guys going to a tailor shop. Oh, I want to get a shirt. Let me get contrast buttonholes, contrast inner collar, contrast buttons, and all these kind of things, which is in some cases nice, right? But I think there needs to be a change in the way men look at clothing in order to achieve the subtle elegance, right? And with that, I would say focus on building a timeless and versatile wardrobe, right? And that's what honestly 3buttons are trying to help you guys with, right? We have created collections for office, startup, denim, weekends, and even, not wedding, that's once in a lifetime. But essentially with what we have done is that we are offering fabrics for shirt, trousers, and jackets, right? In colors and textures that could interswitch between all the different colors for, let's say, your shirt and pants between the collections.
I've seen one of those TikToks where they say you just have this certain number of thingy for guys in the wardrobe, like what you said, 1 stripe, 1 blah blah blah, and and then they do all the different outfits and all, and I love that it's timeless also, it's not just following one trend at one time and then throw away after that or something like that. It's just helps the environment also.
I agree.
Really cool.
I think we need to stop chasing after fashion, right? I think fashion is something, or even trends is something that come and go. Today it might be in style, tomorrow it might not be, but might not be in trend, right? But I think what is timeless, it's your own individual style, right? For example, for me, I know very clearly I have two way of dressing. One is definitely a formal shirt, pants, jacket, suits, whatever, right? And the other side is like dungaree. Honestly, my uniform that my girlfriend has seen me in half of the time that I go on date with her, is a white t-shirt with a pair of jeans and my black penny loafer, right? So you just gotta find.
Wait, what's a penny loafer?
I'll show it to you later on.
It'll be on the screen also.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think really find your own style, right? And do not be afraid to stick to your style, right? If you are someone who's a bit more outgoing, be outgoing, right? Dress the way that you want to be dressed. The way you want to dress, of course, appropriately for the situation and context, right? And if you're someone who's a little bit more conservative, someone who's a little bit more quiet, don't try and be like anyone else, right? Trying to wear like pink shirts or whatever. Slowly work your way there, right? Have your staples, things that you're comfortable with, and then from there, maybe try with like, I don't know, a light pink shirt. And from there, you explore, right? I mean, at the end of the day, fashion or even buying clothes is a journey that we all want to explore and have fun with. It's something that's meant to be fun, right? It shouldn't be something that you have headache about and like think, yeah.
Wait, let's say people who come to your shop, right? At one glance, are you able to tell that like how the person is, like what is his personality like, and even like, and having him come to your shop a few times and maybe dressed up well, right? Do you see any changes in like his like confidence and all that stuff?
I think, okay, I mean, I like to think that I'm quite an observant person. So generally, when guys come in, in the first 5 minutes, I think I kind of already know what they like, right? One that actually has a big change is the guys who are a little bit more conservative, guys who don't know how to dress, mainly guys who are a little bit more plump, right? I think being plump, that's the difficult part because you don't have a lot of brands in Singapore who cater to that. You don't have a lot of fashion icon or like billboards or visual references to show how you should dress as a plump person. Every brand are using slim models, skinny models, good looking models, right? And these guys do not have a reference to follow. These guys generally have the biggest change, right? There was this guy who I met at a networking event. He was going to get married, and the first time I saw him, he was wearing this super tight suit, right? I was like, how do you even breathe? And when he came in, and he looked fat in it, right? Bluntly, he looked fat in it, and it wasn't very flattering. But when he came on and he tried my suit, at the end of the collection, he was like, oh, actually, I don't look that fat, right? You can still tell he's a bit bigger size, but it doesn't, basically, if tailoring, what you want to do is kind of hide the flaws, right? And accentuate the pros that you have in your body. And I think that has quite a few results with a few of my customers. Yeah, happy to actually be able to witness that.
Wow, that's really cool. Really interesting that, yeah, I mean, we don't hear this talk too much also that how we dress actually does affect how we feel. And yeah, I think I really do feel that also. Like, I mean, when I was in Australia, right, that's when I also dressed better. And for the first time in my life, I wore heels. Like, I never ever dared to wear heels on. But then, like, because I did an internship there, and they were a lot more like high on like professionalism and how you dress. So, yeah, so I decided to wear my heels, like Chelsea boots kind of thing, and which was like, yeah, I felt like a badass walking to work and everything.
Yeah, you feel it, right?
Yeah, but yeah, really like that confidence, and then like it also affected how I communicated with them and all that lah. Yeah.
I'd like to ask Talya, as you grew up, like, was there advice given to you by your parents, or like your friends, and made you want to change your style, want to improve your style, or made you want to wear a certain way,
Okay, so I grew up with my mom actually teaching about grooming. Like, she actually gives workshops about grooming.
Oh, nice.
And so like mostly like hair, nails. But honestly, I didn't like it. I was a bit more tomboyish actually. Like, there was a point where certain age, I never wear skirt, dress, anything. I wear like just like a guy. My mom used to tell me I would like hide under the table just to not wear a dress. And then I still like skateboards and all that sort of thing, but I mean I was still a girl. Yeah, I would like still wear jeans and shirts and all that, but like still in a feminine way lah. Like my favorite would be like Avril Lavigne, that kind.
Right.
Yeah. And then now like I actually go for a lot more bright colors. Like last time, like I had a lot of different stages. There was a point in time I was only wearing blacks and I was like an emo kid and like screamo music and everything. And then now like I literally cannot wear black at all. Like
Nice, same.
yeah, like ever since I got more creative and like I think it also got to a happier state.
So aside from your staples that suit your personality and so on and so forth, would you say that your fashion sense would evolve over time or manifest according to how you feel at a certain phase of life?
Definitely. I mean, that's why I have like two ways of dressing lah. Like this is like my kind of like in between of like the formal and like my casual. And of course, like for me, you said, I mean, the brief was to dress comfortably, and this is comfortable for me, right? And I think it's the case for everyone, right? Like you said, I mean, probably in your darker times, like you like to wear black a little bit more, just because it just reflects how you're feeling. And I think generally with clothes, it reflects how you're feeling that day, right? On days where you feel like, hey, you know what? I woke up, I feel good, I'm ready to conquer the world. You want to dress a bit better, right? Go for a nice date, whatever. But on days where you just feel like shit, there's no way the first thing I mind is, oh my god, let's pull out that amazing dress I have and let's go out and slay. Isn't the case, right? You want to kind of like go back into your shell. And I think that's a pitfall for a lot of people. There's also the opportunity, right? To use your dressing to kind of change the way you feel, right? Like how I said, on days where maybe you're feeling average, but when you put on your favorite jacket, right, or this amazing piece of clothing that you know it's gonna impress, somehow it's gonna make you feel a little bit more confident. It's gonna make you feel a bit better. It's gonna make you feel like, you know what, I look good, right? I can be confident about it. And I think that's amazing thing about fashion, about clothes, right? You can use it to kind of I guess manipulate the way you're feeling, right? To some extent.
I resonate with that. I mean, I follow the quote, look good, feel good, right?
Yep.
But okay, just another quick question. Okay, may sound pretty obvious, but I know I just want to ask it. Okay, say if someone at his certain body shape, certain body size now, right? And then he gets the clothes that he has, you know, he goes for tailoring or bespoke or whatever, according to his body size.
Yep.
But I mean, if he suddenly, you know, the next day he starts working out, starts, you know, exercising, and he becomes half of what he was before, he has to go through an entire new wardrobe again, right?
Yes,
there's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with tailoring, what we do is that we are able to, like, you know, either take in on the waist or like make it a little bit bigger, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you have reached the point where you're this size and you lost weight, I think it's something to celebrate about, right? Forget about the past, about what you have kind of like wasted clothes on, right? This is a new season, a new life, and start the whole new beginning, right? And at this point of time, think of it as something fun, because now you are open to so many more options in the way you can dress, the type of fit you can do, the type of clothing you can do, right? As a fat guy, you can't be wearing checks. I mean, you can wear checks, but it's going to make you look a little bit bigger, right? You can't be wearing slim fit, right? Because it's just going to be too tight. It's going to be uncomfortable. Things like this, right? Yeah. So I say just lean into it and just enjoy the new season of life.
Cool. Beautiful response. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks.
I was just going to ask, like, what are your thoughts of like less is more in terms of number of clothes in your wardrobe? Like,
as the founder of 3 Buttons, I'll say less is more. But personally, I think, I mean, I'm just a bit greedy, right? I love like so many different types of clothes. If I could, I want to
have everything.
A walk-in wardrobe.
Yeah.
Right? With like, I don't know, 50 suits. However many shirts. Like, honestly, I wouldn't go to a point where I say I would love to purchase items for brands that I really resonate with, right? Brands who I know is like legit, right? But that's in a very idealistic world, right? And of course, for me, I have the freedom because I'm in the fashion industry. But for guys who are just 8 to 5, all that, I really believe that less is more, right? Subtle elegance is the way to go, especially for men who are always trying to, like, you know, oh, I'm a man, I'm this, you know, I earn like 50K a year, whatever, right? I think there is a lot more depth to a guy who, you know, dresses well in the way it fits, more so than dresses well because it's a Xenia, it's a Hugo Boss, it's a Tom Ford, right? And with that said, I think it's when we talk about less is more, I think the less should be invested in with a very conscious effort, right? Knowing exactly, okay, if I buy this shirt, what is it for? How many wears am I going to get out of it? How often can I wear it? How versatile is it, right? And also, I think less is more in a sense of the design, right? Something I always tell my customers is that, okay, if you're getting a shirt, right, always go simple, especially if it's for work, because you don't want to have all these contrast things to bring attention to the shirt, especially in the early stages of you building a wardrobe, right? Where you have maybe like 5 shirts. You don't want, or even lesser, right? You don't want to be the case where, hey, they say this guy wears this shirt with a contrast buttonhole on Monday. He wears it again on Wednesday. People will be like, do you only have one shirt? You just wear it on Monday, right? And you don't want that, right? You want to just look good and people will be like, this guy looks good. I can't really put my finger on it, right? Why? I think for me, that's the sweet spot.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
And finally, for those who, we always ask this question to entrepreneurs that come on the show, what would your advice be, you know, for those who want to start? And yours is a very niche area and niche work domain. So what are some advice you can give to people who are interested? Perhaps being a cobbler, carpenter, or
Right.
tailor.
I mean, if you want to start your own business, I would say don't do it. No. I mean, very honestly, it's the best and the worst decision in my life. Worst decision because it's so painful. The amount of shit that you have to learn on job, the amount of shit that you realize that you have to do as an entrepreneur, as the owner of the business, it's crazy. But at the same time, if it's something that you're really passionate about, it will be the best decision you can make in your life. But I would say, in terms of advice, find someone who can really guide you on this journey, whether it's your craft or even just entrepreneurship in general. Surround yourself with people who are there to support you. And if anything, cut yourself away from people who do not believe in you. Right? I think that is key, right? Because you don't need someone adding on to affirm your insecurities, right? Your fears. You need people to affirm you of your how far you can reach, right? Your potential, right? I think that is the most important.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that is like a central theme to all of our previous episodes as well, where we talked about, you know, surrounding people, surrounding the environment with the people that you want, the environment that you want to thrive in, and finding people to support you, help you, teach you the way and stuff like that. Yeah.
And how there's always a struggle. There's always a struggle, but it's always like the best thing.
Yeah, and the
the best
end goal,
decision.
focus on the end goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still getting there, but I think at this point of time, it's very, very difficult to go back to an 8 to 5 job, right? And I told myself the only reason ever for me to do it is touch wood. If one day my parents are just so ill that I need to really make bills, pay the bills, that's the only reason I will ever do it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the end of our show. We'll put social media links down below, up here, everywhere. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. See you.